Imagine a young professional who locks his phone in a timed kitchen safe at 9 in the evening just to force himself to read a book, but then finds himself aggressively breaking the plastic lid with a heavy metal hammer only 40 minutes later. This is not a tragic story about a lack of basic human intelligence or severe psychological breakdown, but it is a highly accurate reflection of how modern technology completely rewrites our deepest survival biology. You have likely set a firm financial goal to save a specific portion of your income this month, yet you somehow ended up buying an expensive luxury item through a single-click application while mindlessly scrolling in bed. What you are currently trapped inside is an advanced, weaponized iteration of a psychological flaw that structural economists call a cognitive trap, and almost nobody in the mainstream media is warning you about its true long-term financial cost. I break down exactly one critical behavioral concept per video in plain English, because understanding the hidden architecture of your own mind is the only real way to protect your hard-earned wealth from corporate manipulation. If you want to finally understand why you consistently make self-defeating financial decisions despite knowing better, take a brief moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell for our weekly deep dives. To truly understand how your financial independence is being quietly, systematically dismantled, we have to travel back to the historic laboratories of Harvard University, where the fundamental laws of human impulsivity were first mapped out. In the year 1992, a pioneering behavioral psychiatrist named George Ainslie published a landmark study on a counterintuitive human phenomenon that would completely revolutionize our modern understanding of human willpower and choices. Dr. George Ainslie, Ainslie, proved through rigorous mathematical modeling that human beings do not calculate the value of time rationally or consistently, but we instead devalue the future using a highly volatile geometric trajectory. Standard economic theory long assumed that humans discount the future exponentially, meaning that a reward delayed by 2 weeks should logically lose its appeal at a perfectly steady, predictable, and fully balanced percentage rate. But Ainslie discovered that our actual behavioral choices follow a sharp hyperbolic curve, which means that any reward that becomes immediately available right now undergoes a massive artificial explosion in its perceived psychological value. This exact mathematical distortion is precisely why a rational person will happily choose to receive $100 in 25 weeks over $90 in 24 weeks, because both choices feel equally distant from the present. However, when that identical one-week gap is shifted to the immediate present, the same individual will almost always switch their preference to take a lesser $40 right now instead of waiting just 7 days for $80. Psychologists formally named this systemic structural flaw hyperbolic discounting, and it explains why your current self is constantly making immediate choices that your future self will deeply regret and desperately struggle to financially fix. Before I reveal the most terrifying part of this psychological phenomenon, and trust me, this next layer will completely change how you view your phone, we must look at how this ancient survival mechanism operated safely. For thousands of generations, your ancestors lived in a high-risk world where immediate consumption was the only rational strategy, because saving food for tomorrow meant it would likely rot or be stolen by competing predators. Your physical brain did not evolve to calculate compound interest over a 30-year horizon, but it instead evolved to grab the nearest immediate calorie and squeeze every drop of dopamine out of the current passing minute. Think about the absolute last time you opened an online investment app with the full intention of moving money into your savings, but ended up closing it to check a notification. I want you to vividly picture that choice. This is the exact geographic point where traditional evolutionary psychology completely breaks down, because massive technology conglomerates have discovered a way to shrink this entire macroeconomic curve down into a fraction of a single second. In early behavioral studies, the time horizons measured were typically days, months, and years, but modern algorithms have successfully compressed this entire psychological field into the simple space of a microsecond swipe. Silicon Valley engineers realized that they could maximize user engagement by turning every single social media feed into a hyper-accelerated, variable reward system that perfectly mirrors the addictive mechanics of a traditional casino slot machine. A recent neurocognitive study published in the year 2025 documented that short-form video architectures trigger a massive 62% surge in high-frequency gamma brainwaves during sudden, unexpected reward transitions. Every single time you swipe past a neutral video and instantly land on a hyper-stimulating, highly entertaining clip, your ventral striatum experiences a sharp, artificial spike of dopamine that entirely floods your prefrontal cortex. This rapid-fire delivery system has effectively created an advanced behavioral pathology that top neurological researchers are now calling micro-hyperbolic discounting, where your brain devalues anything that takes longer than 5 seconds to deliver. When you spend 3 to 4 hours every single day marinating your neural pathways in this instant gratification machine, your baseline tolerance for any delayed reward is completely and utterly destroyed. Your delicate dopamine receptors gradually downregulate to protect themselves from this constant overstimulation, which means that ordinary, slower, real-world experiences begin to feel completely intolerable, agonizingly boring, and deeply unrewarding. What most people never realize is that this newly engineered short-form attention span directly bleeds into your personal finance, completely paralyzing your natural human ability to build long-term generational wealth. The identical prefrontal cortex that is currently struggling to sit through a 3-minute educational video is the exact same biological organ required to maintain a strict, disciplined 20-year investment strategy. If your brain has been fundamentally rewired to demand a chemical payout every 9 seconds, the rational concept of sacrificing $100 today for an abstract financial return a decade later feels entirely impossible. The immediate cash inside your bank account starts burning a psychological hole in your pocket because your brain is perpetually seeking the immediate dopamine hit of a consumer purchase to satisfy its severe chemical craving. Major digital commerce corporations are fully aware of this neurological vulnerability, and they have custom-built their entire checkout infrastructure to exploit this exact moment of extreme emotional weakness. By integrating biometric face scanning, instant digital wallets, and immediate one-click purchasing options, they completely eliminate the healthy friction known in behavioral finance as the literal pain of paying. In the past, the physical act of counting paper currency or manually typing out a 16-digit credit card number provided a crucial cognitive buffer that allowed your rational mind to step in and stop an impulsive purchase. Today, that protective barrier has been completely erased, meaning that your micro-hyperbolic brain can execute an impulsive financial decision in the exact same second that it experiences a fleeting, temporary emotional whim. Stay with me for the next 2 minutes, because what I am about to show you next is the absolute peak of this dark pattern, and understanding it is the only way you can begin to fight back. The true horror of the hyperbolic curse is that it creates a closed, self-reinforcing loop of financial anxiety and compulsive consumption that becomes harder to escape with every single passing month. When you consume hyper-fast digital media to escape the stress of your daily life, you are actively degrading your ability to do the deep, focused work required to increase your professional value and income. As your financial anxiety naturally rises due to a lack of savings, you become far more vulnerable to the quick, cheap comfort of instant digital entertainment and immediate, retail therapy consumer purchases. You are effectively trading away your entire financial sovereignty, your future home, and your ultimate personal freedom just to fund a continuous stream of minor chemical drops for a highly manipulated biological system. But here is the critical turning point where everything changes, because behavioral economics also provides us with a collection of highly effective, scientifically verified tools to completely break this addictive cycle. The most powerful weapon against a hyperbolic curve is a classic psychological strategy called a Ulysses Contract, which is a conscious choice to lock your future self into a rational path before temptation arrives. Named after the legendary Greek hero who intentionally tied himself to the mast of his ship to resist the sirens, a Ulysses Contract means using technology to aggressively restrict your own future decision-making freedom. If you know that your micro-hyperbolic mind will always choose immediate gratification in the evening, you must completely automate your savings the exact morning your monthly paycheck arrives in your account. You can set up an automatic recurring transfer that immediately routes 20% of your income into an institutional investment account that charges a heavy financial penalty for any early, unplanned withdrawals. By introducing deliberate, artificial friction into your financial life, You effectively force your future impulsive self to clear a massive hurdle before you can commit a destructive, short-term financial mistake. To fix the attention side of this equation, you must immediately implement digital friction by removing all short-form entertainment applications from the primary mobile device you carry in your pocket every day. If you force yourself to only access these highly addictive platforms through a slow, clunky desktop browser with a long, complex password, you successfully disrupt the instantaneous loop of the recommendation algorithm. You must consciously allow your nervous system to experience small, healthy doses of boredom throughout the week so that your brain can naturally rebuild its baseline capacity for sustained focus and long-term planning. So let us pull this entire breakdown together into a clear, actionable perspective that you can easily carry with you into your very next financial and digital choice. Your biological brain is carrying an ancient survival bug that naturally devalues the future, and modern digital platforms have weaponized this vulnerability to systematically profit off your fragmented attention span. Micro-hyperbolic discounting turns you into your own worst financial enemy by forcing you to trade away your long-term independence for a series of meaningless, 5-second digital rewards. By automating your investments, introducing harsh structural friction to your spending, and deliberately protecting your attention span, you can completely step off this corporate dopamine treadmill. Share this video with exactly one close friend who deserves to understand the hidden psychological forces that are quietly holding them back from achieving their true financial potential. Having just one serious, honest conversation about this cognitive trap could completely change how they view their time, their money, and their own mind for the rest of their natural life.